Hey there, welcome to Fun Learn Talks, the podcast where we break down business, technology, and history into stories that sparks your mind and makes you smarter. I'm Anu, and we explore ideas that shaped the world from empires and entrepreneurs to code and culture. If you love connecting dots and asking why things are the way they are, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's story. Imagine stepping into a world where the clash of swords echoes against the towering mountains, where silk gowns shimmer under the quartz lantern light, and whispers of power and beauty mingle in the air. This was the Tang Dynasty, a period that not only redefined luxury but also the geopolitical landscape of Asia. In the early days of the Tang Dynasty, around the year 660, something remarkable happened. Women, who had once veiled their faces, began to express themselves with unprecedented freedom. They experimented with bold hairstyles and intricate headdresses that framed their faces like artwork. Makeup wasn't just a touch of color, it was an elaborate layer of powders and paints that transformed faces into canvases. Imagine the scene described by the poet Wang Jian: noble women washing off so much makeup at night that the water turned into red mud. This was an era where even the poets took note of the beauty routines of women. But the Tang Dynasty was about more than just beauty. It was a time of immense military and diplomatic prowess. By securing control over the northern frontiers and extending its influence through the Silk Roads, the Tang Dynasty controlled a vast expanse from Korea to the edges of what is today Hanoi. But their challenges didn't stop there. Tibet to the west remained a formidable force. In a strategic move that seemed straight out of a grand historical drama, the Tang Dynasty employed what was known as princess diplomacy. Princess Wencheng was sent to marry the Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo, not just as a bride, but as a bearer of culture and religion. She, along with Brikuti Devi from Nepal, introduced Buddhism to Tibet, weaving it into the fabric of their indigenous beliefs and laying the foundation for what would become Tibetan Buddhism. Interestingly, claims that Wencheng brought Chinese civilization, including paper, to Tibet have been deeply stitched into the narrative that Tibet has always been a part of China. Back in the historic capital of Chang'an, the seat of Tang power, the royal court was a cauldron of intrigue and opulence. Women at court dressed their hair in styles with names as poetic as Mandarin ducks and five mountains, and they painted their lips with intricate floral designs. However, beneath this veneer of splendor, the Tang dynasty faced significant internal challenges. Unlike the hereditary aristocracies of Europe, China's elite was a blend of lineage, wealth, education, and official position, a mix that continually shifted and redefined power dynamics within the state. To address this, the Tang divided the empire into provinces and sent officials selected from a pool of educated men from all over the empire to govern these areas. These administrators ideally had no local ties, which theoretically made them immune to local pressures. The Tang dynasty also instituted a detailed penal code that set out everything from minor punishments to the gravest consequences like execution. Fascinatingly, no judge could sentence someone to death without first reflecting on the decision for 3 days, abstaining from meat and music to underscore the gravity of a life ending judgment. This code laid the groundwork for law in subsequent dynasties and showcased the deeply ingrained Confucian values that prioritized moral behavior and governance. The Tang dynasty, therefore, was not just a dynasty of beauty and grandeur, but one of intricate laws, complex social structures, and broad geopolitical influence. Its legacy, marked by both the splendor of court life and the robust frameworks of its governance, continues to be a subject of admiration and study. And as we wander through the annals of history, the Tang dynasty remains a vivid tableau of power, beauty, and strategic brilliance. As we engage with this rich past, let's marvel at how a dynasty so ancient still shapes how we view culture, power, and beauty today. In the twisting saga of ancient China, where tales of intrigue and ambition fill the pages of history, there's a story that resonates through time, illustrating the ruthlessness of power and the shadowy lines of justice. Picture this: during the Ming Dynasty, a story unfolds in the popular novel Outlaws of the Marsh. Wu Dalang, a simple peddler, is cruelly murdered by his wife, Pan Jinlian, and her lover, Zemin Qing. But justice has a brother's face here. Wusong avenges his brother's death by killing the adulterous pair. While he escapes punishment for his sister-in-law's demise, Zemin Qing's status as an official brings Wusong into the harsh gaze of the law. Now, let's wind the clock back a bit further to the Tang Dynasty, a time when stability and tax revenue were the pulse of the empire. Here's something concrete. Each farming family was allotted about 16.5 acres of land. Incentives were also cooked up to encourage the cultivation of virgin lands. The Tang's meticulous system also demanded taxes from merchants and artisans, structured around transport tolls among others. But the cornerstone of this administrative marvel? An accurate census. Yet, demographers today suspect a bit of numerical sleight of hand. Despite the 754 census officially recording around 53 million souls, think about this. The real number likely ballooned to somewhere between 65 and 70 million. As we move deeper into the empire, within the walled imperial city of a sprawling 1.7 square miles, an array of critical centers like the palace and government ministries were nestled. This was the only place where the death penalty could be meted out, encapsulating the sheer power and severity housed within its confines. Future dynasties would take a leaf out of this architectural and administrative playbook, mirroring its structure in their governance. Then, at the helm of this powerhouse was the first emperor of the Tang, succeeded by a figure who would both horrify and impress, Li Shimin. His ascent to the throne was stained by the blood of his own brothers, a grim footnote in his journey to becoming Emperor Taizong. Reigning from 626 to 649, Taizong transformed into a ruler celebrated for his intelligence and fostering of a stable, prosperous society. His governance was further amplified by the brilliance of his ministers, particularly Wei Zheng, a man embodying the spirit of a true Zhengyu, a friend unafraid to voice harsh truths. Upon Wei Zheng's death, Taizong mourned the loss of his mirror, a reflection he used to scrutinize his own governance. Let's keep going to another dramatic chapter in the saga. Taizong, at the age of 39, took a 12-year-old concubine, Lady Wu. 12 years later, upon his death, the custom of the time saw Lady Wu sent to a Buddhist convent. But fate had a twist. The new emperor, Gaozong, swept her back from the convent to the palace, naming her empress. As Gaozong's interest in governance waned, Lady Wu deftly took the reins, steering the empire with a hand as firm as her predecessors. In a stunning move after Gaozong's death, she overthrows her son Zhongzong merely months into his reign. Accusations of betrayal and alliances cast aside, she paving her own monumental path by founding her very own dynasty, the Zhou, in 690, and proclaiming herself Empress Wu Zetian. This bold stride marked her as the only woman to ever rule China in her own name. Interesting, right? Each ruler, each plotted course of action across these dynastic tales reflects broader themes of power, betrayal, and redemption. A rich tapestry that underscores the complex, often tumultuous narratives that have shaped the course of Chinese history. Don't go anywhere as we continue to unravel these layers in the chapters to come. That's it for today's episode on Fun Learn Talks, where stories from business, technology, and history keep your curiosity alive. If you enjoyed the journey, make sure to follow, rate, or share it with a fellow curious mind. And hey, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment or connect with us online. I'm Anu, and I'll catch you next time, right here on Fun Learn Talks. Until then, keep learning, keep wondering.